Hey magical beings, I am Chloe Manifest. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to talk to you about manifestation and my process with how I manifest. Manifestation is such an amazing tool for self-development, and I think that it's often looked at kind of like the fluffy end of spirituality, which in a way it can be, but when it comes down to it, you have to do a lot of alignment work, which means getting back to your authentic like being to really manifest in a really fast way. Over the last couple of years, I have been journeying with the process of manifestation through a few different ways. I looked at the old way of doing law of attraction work from like think and you like create and then try to think positive and stay in the vortex and all of that, and I found none of that was really working for me. Then about 2 years ago, I stumbled upon the work of Lacey Phillips, and I love her process. And so that is majority of the process that I use with my manifestation work. However, I've tweaked it like a little bit here and there, where it works better for me. But I love her work as a daily practice, as my meditation process, and as the foundational aspects to creating the right thoughts in my subconscious to then affect my reality. And it's been such a powerful and healing tool for me. In the process of the work of Lacey Phillips, I'm going to leave all of her links below so you guys can go check it out. She talks about the fact that we need to reprogram our subconscious because from the womb until about the ages of 7 all the way up to about 14, we are being programmed in our subconscious on what we like and what we should be doing, and like programming on how we should be in the world. But in actual fact, our soul has its own unique blueprint and a unique way of doing things and a unique way of being. And so the process of reprogramming our subconscious is coming back to our authentic code and becoming who we are supposed to be. And what I loved about this work is actually what has brought me more than anything. Like, it has brought me like windfalls of abundance, but one of the best things it has brought to me has been this process of like understanding where my patterns are, where my shadow aspects are, what healing my inner child really needed, and also getting really clear on my authentic code. It's opened up spaces. Like, in the process of doing this work, I've come across realizing like my brain wasn't wired the same way as everyone else, and I got my ADHD diagnosis. I had moments of realizing that I was dealing with codependency and dealing with a lot of other programs in there that was causing me to be a people pleaser and trying to do it how everyone else wanted me to do it, and none of those things truly aligned with who I was as a soul, and I needed to let a lot of that go. And so now, learning how to work with my own patterns and seeing where my own boundaries aren't, like where I'm not honoring my boundaries or other people's boundaries, not honoring my own process, that really like blew my mind in the form of manifestation. So I love manifestation as a way to go in and be like, what's blocking me here? How am I not stepping into my sovereignty and my authenticity? How am I not honoring my spirituality? How am I not honoring my authentic code, which I'm going to go into in a little bit. And I think it's a fantastic tool for self-development and nourishing myself. Not to mention doing the daily reprogramming is like a daily meditation, and it just helps me to really ground and get centered and work through my emotions and work through working out like what it is that I want to do, who I want to be, and how I want to show up in the world. So I think it's a fantastic tool for self-development for that reason. So let's get into the process. So this is my current process when it comes to manifesting, and I find that it works pretty well. I've always been one to work with lists. I've always been one to just kind of, I've worked with like dream boards and stuff like that before. I've had maybe 1 or 2 major successes with dream boards, but I'm finding like the further I get along with dream boards, they're not as like on point. Like, they're great to have like an overall like look at everything, but they're not necessary. I enjoy it. I love doing a dream board every year on my birthday and like setting the intention for what I want my life to look like for the year, or like what I want to draw in, and kind of holding it as a ritual space. But I don't necessarily use dream boards as like my main manifestation process anymore. the very first step when it comes to manifesting that's really important is getting very clear on your authentic code. Getting clear on your authentic code. So what that means is, what do you like to spend your money and your time on? Your two most precious resources. What do you want to spend your money and time on? And that kind of helps you to dictate your authentic code as well. So like, what's important to you in the way that, like, how you spend your time or how you want to spend your money. And you can kind of use this authentic code as a way to see, like, how far away are you from your authentic highest version self of you. And what I love about authentic code, like, I've dived really deeply into this previously in my journey, but if you guys want me to talk more about authentic code in detail, I will totally do that. But what I've noticed with my authentic code is it totally aligns with my numerology, it totally aligns with my astrology, it totally aligns with my human design, and it also helped me to get really clear on, previously I thought my authentic code had like luxury, or, you know, well, like looking at things from a state of like I wanted to have the really best of everything. But what I've started to realize now, that luxury isn't really a core word for my authentic code, and my actual authentic code kind of blew my mind when I came down to really getting through to what it is. So one of the things I realized was that luxury actually wasn't in my authentic code, but that luxury was my parents' programming in and around. They always loved the best of the best. They've always made a priority to have nice things, go on like nice trips, and have like very good vehicles, and that has always been what I kind of grew up around. But what I didn't realize was that I needed to remove that and take that programming out of my conditioning and lean back into what is my true authentic code. And so what my true authentic code is kind of broken down into is freedom, creativity, exploration, and wellness. And wellness was the one that really like blew my mind. And so like wellness was kind of like the missing piece. Like I couldn't work out what it was, but I didn't want to choose wellness originally because it was like, well, I'm not fit. Like I kind of judged it on like who I was in that moment. Like I'm not fit, I'm not, you know, all of these things. But actually what I love to spend my money and time doing is putting time and effort into my body, my like mind, body, spirit, and also like what I put in my body, and it's become something that I've grown into. So looking at your authentic code, it will be like either 3 or 4 core words that you really, really lock into. That's your authentic code to lean into and when I look at my numerology, like my numerology breaks down to a 3, which is like all about creation and all about exploration and freedom, and you know, it literally is my numerology when I break it down to it. So once you know what you want based on your authentic code, it actually makes the process of manifesting really, really, really simple, in the sense of like, because you're more in alignment with your authentic code, you can manifest things into the alignment like for yourself with like so much more ease, because it aligns with your subconscious and your conscious beliefs of like, these things matter to me, and so I want to put my time and energy and money into those spaces. So once you know what you want, so this is step 1 is authentic code. Step 2 is like, do you know what you want? And to be really, really sure that you know what you want, from like calling to your higher self, connecting with your higher self, like, what do you want? Like, how can we work together? Also, like, you as a person, like, what do you want? Like, what do you want to see and experience in this life? But also going back and going, I want to know what I want, not from the programming of childhood, not from the programming of my family, not based on the fact that if I get this, then I will be lovable, worthy, deserving. When you start to really take away that link of like, if I choose to pursue this for the fact that I can use it to kind of feed my ego, which is often like the inner child that's lacking, or the shadow aspects of you that are needing to want to be seen and acknowledged, but actually breaking it down to, if I wasn't seeking attention, if I wasn't seeking approval from, and often it's more likely our parents that we're trying to seek it from, but if I'm not trying to seek it from them, am I still lovable and worthy regardless? And if you can keep leaning into like, am I choosing this truly because it aligns with my authentic code, and I know that regardless of whether or not I have it or not, I'm still worthy, deserving, and lovable, and leaning into those aspects, then you know, like, that's for you. So you like write it down, like, what do you want? The next one is, why do you want it? And that kind of leans into what we were talking about before, but like, why do you want it? And sit down and like all the reasons. So like, if it's money, if you're calling it money, why do you want it? Like, how does this directly connect into your authentic code for you to have what you want? And go through it. Like, I want it because I want to be able to express myself creatively through purchasing art supplies, or I want to have it because I want to be able to invest in my wellness through meditation retreats, or paying for an online subscription to a mental health provider who can help me through psychology. You know, like, why do you want it? And layer it in, and eventually you get to the point where there are so many whys, and that it is just like, there is no way you can't have it, because you know it's not coming from ego, you know it's coming from your authentic self, right? So then the third thing is setting your intention. When it comes to setting your intention, what I think is really important is go like, so what is it that you want? Why do you want it? And then how is this going to support your authentic self? And that's, you know, that's setting your intention, and to make sure that it's not coming from ego. So ensuring that it's coming from a space of like, am I here truly to do this from service? So if you're trying to manifest a following, or if you're trying to manifest career, like, is this coming from ego, or am I truly stepping into service? And something that I've learned about in and around manifesting career, or manifesting your wealth and abundance through your service, is that if you truly show up in this way, and I love this equation, right? So service plus inspired action. So like, what can you offer plus the inspired action? And that's usually, I like to use that opportunity to tune into the universe and be like, you know, how can I use my abilities and gifts to do my work of service? Ask for an inspired action, allow the universe to download that into you, and then from there, like, trust that that will lead to success of that thing happening. And that can come through many, like, either like through money or through recognition, or whatever it is that you're maybe wanting to call in, but ensuring that you've done that can help. So the next thing is blah 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 blah. Inspired action. So that's what we were talking about just before. Service plus inspired action equals success. When it comes down to your manifestation, once you're really clear on what you want and why you want it, then you can really, really set that intention and then call in that inspired action. So intention plus inspired action equals the outcome. Now, when I say that, there is, between those two steps plus the desired outcome, there will be stuff that will come up. So when you take your inspired action, so source may give you many, many different things, and often it comes in the form of like setting a boundary, or choosing to show up, or sometimes I will find like source will say go to the library, or go to this place, or connect with this person, or put up this post at this time, or create this particular video, or, you know, it gives me all these different things that'll come, and I'll just feel it or just know it. One of my gifts is just clear knowing. So I'll just know that I need to create the thing or do the thing, and I really, really lean into that. So following the inspired action to do the thing, but also what I find is the quicker you do that inspired action, the momentum and the energy behind that, like, is super fast. Like, it creates incredible magnetism. So, and sometimes it's also like, I've had it in the past where there's been times where sources said, like, you need to let go of this particular friendship, you need to let go of this particular dynamic, you need to not take this particular path with the thing that you're creating or doing. Also down to like stating some really strong boundaries in and around relationships with my family, or in and around friendships with boundaries with friends, or even down to like how you have your relationships with clients. So it's getting very, very clear on like knowing that sometimes the inspired action can be difficult, but if we honor that it is difficult and do it anyway, that is an act of courage and an act of faith. And taking a leap of faith, then Source often will support that. It'll support that by helping you get closer to your manifestation. So often between us taking this inspired action and the actual outcome of our manifestation, this is where I find the self-care, self-development part often comes in. So if you haven't already done a lot of internal reprogramming and mindset work in the process of, what do you want, you could still manifest that thing. But what will often happen is that in the process of you setting the intention and getting the outcome, you'll have a lot of things come up, and often they look like tests. So it can be like either your beliefs are challenged, your boundaries are challenged, your connections, your like things may leave, things may enter, there may be crickets. You might hit a rock bottom where shit gets really, really hard. And if something happens, you set your intentions, and like a few days later or a couple of weeks later, suddenly you like bomb out and all things get really, really difficult, which Lacey Phillips in her work, she calls that a rock bottom, or if nothing's happening and you're in a blah space, that's called a rut. But during that stage, when you're in that space, what happens is that the tests that are happening around you will start to show up also in like a form of patterns. So you may notice people are either, I've just gone through one just recently where it's been boundaries and having to set really clear boundaries, and in and around in particular money, because I'm trying to manifest some money. And so it's been like getting very clear on my boundaries with my money, making sure that I'm paying things that I need to pay, making sure that I've got things tight, like loose ends tied up in and around it, also getting really close into my money, understanding my money, and getting a really intimate relationship with my numbers. But also like, it's that process of realizing that there was all these patterns in and around boundaries, in and around money, and how I was using money or how I wasn't using money well, and having to really like create those solid foundations to then go, okay, like, yes, you're worthy of this, but not to say that I'm not already worthy, but to show myself that I am capable and able to do these things. And then also subconsciously reprogramming myself through subconscious meditation, which is a part of the pathway. And I'm sure there's other ways that you can do it, but like clearing, I think there are people who use like NLP or like other ways of like clearing beliefs. There are other ways to do it as well, but like clearing those beliefs so that I can then also like, one, I'm taking actions to show myself that I'm able to hold this level of deserving worthiness and lovability because I'm choosing that for myself. But then on the other hand, I'm reprogramming it and supporting that. But then on top of that, there's a thing called expanders. So seeing to believe, which I love that. And I actually came into a space in the last couple of days where Source really showed me all these people who are doing sacred medicine work or energetic work or spiritual work and receiving abundance for that work and getting success and recognition in their career in and around that work. So it's making sure that you're unblocking and clearing the beliefs, taking the inspired action in and around like what work needs to be cleared up and tidied up and done. And then on top of that, also being expanded by Source. So all of those things like kind of come into play there. And then there comes a point though, you have to surrender, right? You have to just like lean back and be like, okay, universe, like I trust. I've done everything I can possibly do. I am showing myself in all areas. I'm reprogramming in all areas. I'm exposing myself to the expanders. I have set my intention, and now I'm leading into deep surrender. And eventually surrender will lead into results. And whilst for some people will have results really quickly, I've had moments where I've had like instant results, and I will share that story with you guys one day because it was like crazy the way that it happened. But if you want to hear more about my manifestation stories, I'd love to share them with you. I have some really amazing ones that just still to my day, like the magic and the miracles that came from them, just made me believe in the possibility of this, and that it is a real thing, because I think a lot of the time we think that it's not. So that's my process, and that's how I use it for self-development, and how that's really helped me on my journey to becoming who I am today and expanding my mind in the realms of manifestation. If you've liked this video and you've received anything from it, I would love to hear what you received by commenting below. And if you haven't seen any of my videos before, say hi. I'd love to know that you're a newer part of my community, and I want to send you some love. And also, if you did enjoy this video, could you please give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification bell so that you will see when future videos do come. So thank you so much, you wonderful, magical, beautiful beings, and I will see you on the next video. Bye.